This is Dragon in a Pot, and I welcome you back to my channel. Today we're continuing the video series Everything and the Kitchen Sink. Today's topic of discussion, there's no place like home. Now, as we all know, home can be everything, every bit what you make it, and there's many ways that you can do this in regards to tabletop roleplay and adventures. So let's start digging into the meat of this topic. The first thing I always like to discuss when talking home sweet home is how mobile is your home. Are you geographically stationary, such as you would find with a castle or hut in the woods or small town settlement? Are you settling in a farm that one or all of the adventurers have a vested interest in keeping safe? Or are you looking at some kind of a guild hall that's financing your adventures and giving you the ability to go out and collect bounties based on requests? Or is it just a tavern that you're settling into as a convenient stopover between adventures for your small mercenary band? Are you a crew of merchants or pirates that are setting sail on the high sea, seeking to fuel your adventures through lining your pockets with gold, silver, platinum, treasures of various kinds? Are you seeking to, again, gain treasure and renown? Or are you a starship crew that is trying to deliver cargoes? Or again, are you privateers or pirates on the major space lanes? These give opportunities ranging from, again, going to the castle and town. Are you running a Camelot adventure where you want all of your adventures based out of a single central location? Or are you running a Holmesian plot where your adventures rarely steer too far from your center town district of London, or insert your town name here? Or are you traveling between villages trying to solve a mystery that you're traveling from town to town, bouncing between guild halls in order to, again, fund your adventure through collecting bounties that somehow all tie together to deliver the information your players need? Or again, the high seas. Are you running a Pirates of the Caribbean, or let's see here, or a merchant crew that their goal is strictly to line their pockets with gold? Or again, are you solving a mystery such as the Treasure Island? Or with the starships, are you dealing with a Andromeda Ascendant where you are a crew taken out of your own time? Or perhaps you're just a bounty crew such as with Firefly. Or perhaps you are a military vessel of some variety with scientific secondary purposes, such as would be the case with Star Trek. Or are you Star Wars-esque, where you are simply trying to figure out how to make it in a world that really is not friendly to keeping yourself alive? These are all things to keep in mind when figuring out where and what home is. Once you know what home is, the question is, how are you presenting it to your players? I know many people have a hard time feeling like a place is home when they have not seen, touched, smelled, interacted with it in some way. Whether you're presenting your players with flat maps that they can move their pieces around and find out details based on what is pre-existing in the world, whether that is exploring secret corridors that they find in this manor that is hundreds of years old and really has no reason to have these secret corridors, but it does anyway. Or are you dealing with a castle with escape hatches and all of these other details that, again, they're simply able to explore through the flat maps and be able to plot and plan their attacks? Or are you dealing, again, with a farm village where really all you need is the basics of the farmhouse and little more other than knowing that there is a field off to the east of the house, or that there is a fence surrounding the main farmyard? Or are you dealing with players that want something a little more tangible to interact with, where you'll want to prepare set props and interactive 3D displays for them to work with and around? And especially if this is a place where they're going to be interacting with regularly, this may be something incredibly useful to you. And this will give opportunity for them to discover new secrets about the place as time goes on. Or are you simply needing something to give a flavor, such as a sketch or drawing? This is fantastic for sailing boats, especially if you are not an expert on all of the rigging terms and all of that. Although a little bit of homework goes a long way. I will say this from experience of players from both perspective of a player and as a GM. I find giving the fewer details, the better when dealing with a lot of this when you are unsure of a lot of the terms. But I've also run with GMs that try and make calls that logically don't make as much sense when you do the research of it. The other option that is common that I'm aware of is digital formats, especially right now with everything going on with COVID. Digital formats are becoming very popular. I know that this has become a favorite method of mine recently with my friends and family while running games, that digital maps and interaction tools I have found great use for. And this is especially fantastic for when dealing with sci-fi and setting a blueprint for the ship. Do you need full color detail, or do you want something that is a strict blueprint style to set the theme and tone of they're looking at a map on their wrist and it can give extra flair from this slate gray corridor? It suddenly becomes a digital blueprint of the ship, and you can fill in details such as exposed piping and so on and so forth. Presentation can really affect the flavor of your story and how the players interact and bite into and can feel that whatever structure, ship, or wagon they are using becomes home. The more they can invest in it, the more they can put energy and time into improving it or simply making it, again, feel like home. Once you know how you're presenting home base, the next question is who populates it? If you're dealing with a castle, the question is there a king or nobleman that you're regularly dealing with that you need to make sure that you are able to either appease or give reverence to, and make sure that you are not overstepping any bounds of courtesy that he may be due? Or if you're dealing with a tavern, are you dealing with a bartender that is a regular that either gives you your missions or whatever the case may be? Is it a guild hall where you have a guild master that is in charge of all the missions and who gets assigned what? Or is it just a board that they're referencing to check and see what bounties are available, and it's first come, first serve? These things can give your home base flair and flavor. Or if you're dealing with something that's more fantasy, are you dealing with fairies that are floating around your farm home regularly? Or if you're in the woods, maybe they are just natives of the local area and you're just trying not to upset them, and or maybe they are regularly hiring you to protect the forest from abuse and over cultivating. These are things you can keep in mind to help give that bit of flavor. Or if you're dealing with sci-fis, are you dealing with an alien ship captain or crew? Are you dealing with just interacting at ports with, again, these same bizarre, abnormal creatures? Or again, if you're seafaring, are you dealing with sea monsters or abnormal, non-humanoid creatures that are either hiring you or attacking and harassing your ship? These are all things that you can use to give your flavor to the home base. Who are you dealing with regularly? What are you dealing with regularly? Are these a threat or an help to your players? How can you use them to better flavor your world? Give them tone, texture. Make it something that they can invest in. Make it something that they can put energy into helping upkeep. Is it something that they need to worry about, or is it just a once-off thing? Make sure that they know what to expect from your story. And you can set that very quickly and very easily by who populates your world. And with that, we must discuss what makes wherever you're at home. Is it a smell, texture, convenience? In the case of a tavern, is it just somewhere to hang your hat that is reliably there, that you know what to expect as far as service and exchange of goods? Or is it that it is the home of either a nobleman or member of the party, that they are hiring a staff to maintain it, and so on and so forth? Is it something that you're able to claim due to some kind of documentation? This would be the case with many military encampments. Are you a part of some kind of guild or organization that is required to offer you hospitality? Are you staying in the guild hall itself, where you're expected to perform tasks and pay monthly dues or something similar to that in order to continue to benefit from the services provided? Or is it a shop or townhouse that the players are grouping their funds together to pay for monthly in exchange for a roof over their head? Or is it simply a cave somewhere out in the woods that they have claimed as their own, that there really is no specific title or deed to other than simple squatter's rights? Or again, is it simply the call of the sea, the salty sea air, and the breeze across their face that calls to them and makes it feel like home? Or is it simply the matter of it is what they're used to? This is something that they can claim as their own, regardless of what anyone else may try or attempt. They have put in the blood, sweat, and tears to make this happen, and through that effort, claim it as their own. These are things that really do give your players something to bite onto, and don't ever be afraid to give them the option to upgrade, downgrade, and change home base as may be applicable and necessary to your story. Maybe their boat is seized, and that's what they'd been calling home. Their boat is seized or burned down, destroyed in some manner that forces them to change setting. Or is it the guild hall is destroyed, the shop is closed down, or they're foreclosed on for some reason? Maybe the cave collapses and they're no longer able to safely reside therein. Or maybe they show up in a town that does not have a tavern. Maybe they lose rights to nobility and status, and therefore the noble housing that they've been relying on is suddenly gone. Maybe they are kicked out of whatever organization was offering them hospitality, and their documentation is destroyed and revoked. These are things to keep in mind that allow them to change statuses and encourage them to have backup plans. These are things you can implement to give that little bit of extra flavor to your story. I thank you for joining me today on today's video, Everything in the Kitchen Sink, covering There Is No Place Like Home. I would encourage you to like, share, and subscribe if you have enjoyed today's video, so that I can continue to produce enjoyable content. Please share any comments you may have on other topics that you would find useful. And until next time, this is Dragon in a Pot, signing off.